Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues. With this video, I'll be discussing my thoughts on episode 11 of the anime series Shokugeki no Soma. And we're picking up right where we left off in the heat of this Shokugeki challenge between Soma, Megumi, and Shinomiya, this, just uber chef of French cuisine. And I wasn't all that surprised that he's kind of like scoffing it off and laughing it off. And I think I even speculated further that because the Dojima character was eavesdropping in the previous episode, that he would probably be the intervention that sees them pulling together some kind of plan, putting this Shokugeki to the test and maybe having Megumi, stay on board, not be sent packing as it seemed like was going to be the case in the previous episode. And that played out to be true. I was pleasantly surprised because I love the Inui character. She's absolutely hilarious. To see that she was sort of the comedic element the entirety of the episode, constantly getting jabs and jibes in on Shinomiya and everything. And it was cool to have these elitist alumnus judges who, they get a bunch of them involved in this. They're kind of all shocked that somebody would have the sort of gall to challenge one of their own, that being, of course, Soma. And I love that you had them all involved, and they're all they're wowed by the scenario. They're wowed by Soma's, sort of gravitas in his just having the gall, as I say, to make this challenge to begin with. And then I like that Dojima puts forth this stipulation that, you think Soma's going to be in control of this, but as he points out, if he does, if it's his recipe and he's calling the shots, it undermines any sense of the importance of Megumi's not being sent packing. And I love that sort of touching moment, even though it was also comedic, when they're in the hallway and Megumi breaks down and she's crying and she's like, why? You're the only one who cares enough to help me, and why are you doing this? You're risking yourself and everything. And of course, you still have the bravado of Soma's character. But he's walking away and he says, you know what, you're not meant to drop out here. You're not meant to be sent home at this point. Of course, there's a little underridden, you're going to go up against me one day, kid. I'm going to knock you back a peg. But it's still that bravado, but at the same time, you can see he's very much trying to take Megumi under his wing because he believes she has skills, and he wants to empower her in the face of his just not giving a flying F about everybody's reputation and the self-importance they carry themselves with and the chips on their shoulders, as I've talked about in previous videos. But this is the true challenge. Does Megumi have what it takes? And if I had to complain about any aspect of this episode, it was that they had to spend the entirety of the episode telling us the step-by-step process of Shinomiya's dish, and thus, pushing to the side for the next episode whatever it was that Megumi decided to put together. And I did like that, we're seeing the step-by-step process of their cooking and just how transfixed all the other judges are. And Dojima seems to really feel like, Soma has something going for him. He seems almost proud of him when Soma mans up and he's like, all right, I'll follow the stipulation. I'll be the sous chef. She'll be the director and everything. And I'll follow whatever she says. And then, of course, he is. But as all the judges are, sort of paying attention to this, they're noting he's watching her every move and he's getting everything prepared. And right when she needs it, he hands it off to her and everything like that. He is just absolutely in pitch, even to the point of being a step ahead of her to know where she's going to be. That predictability, that's how well they work together. And that's the prowess he has naturally. And I like that the judges are like, this kid has cooking prowess that goes beyond just being taught in a diner. There's something naturally he has. He has the skill, and Dojima is the chief amongst which that sees that. And I think that's the whole purpose of why he let this Shokugeki, situation be put together. He's kind of trusting and having faith in Soma's opinion of Megumi. And it's an extension of just seeing the skill that Soma himself has. And as I say, it's kind of interesting that, Shinomiya, Dojima thinks he's going to make his signature dish and just wipe the floor with Soma and Megumi. But he's like, a couple of students? Yeah, right. You know, I'm not going to waste my time. I'm just going to... He ends up concocting a French dish, of course, but it's one that he adapts, and it's kind of like what the Aldini boys did with their Italian/Japanese dish in the previous episode, or a couple episodes back now. And he adapts a French sort of homemade dish rather than one that he would, you know, akin to his signature dish, maybe give out in a restaurant scenario, you know. So I did think that was interesting. And of course, you know, still with the jabs with the Inui character, she's ticked off. She doesn't get to sample any of it. And I just thought it was balls to the wall hilarious that all of these judges, as they're describing what he did with the dish, and, you know, there's an emphasis on magical cabbage. You know, kind of like the Sailor Moon of food and cabbage, all that kind of stuff. You actually see them going through a transformation and all that. You know, I just thought that was absolutely pitch perfectly funny as hell, and that's one of the charms of this series, is the hilarity and the absurdity. That everybody, you know, when they taste this just absolutely gorgeous sounding food, these concoctions, they just lose themselves to it. And, you know, once the credits started up and I'm like, oh, now we gotta wait till next week. I did like that we had a little bit of a footnote showing Megumi, you know, still falling back on that nervousness, but once again, you know, and it's the second time in the episode, Soma, you know, first he slaps her hands, then he sort of gives her a pat on the back, tries to snap her into action and be like, look, let's rock and roll. And I love that final shot, even if we didn't get, you know, the reveal of whatever it is and what the reaction will be, and what the judgment will be of Megumi and Soma's staying involved or not. I mean, I'd be fairly willing to bet that they're not going anywhere, that they're staying in this school and they're going to have one over the judges and this, that, and the other thing. But I did like, even, you know, without getting that in the episode, which was my minor gripe for it, that we did get that tail end shot of all of these judges looking down and seeing like a rainbow effect, a sort of illumination. And so we're left off with the possibility, the hope, the promise that these kids aren't going anywhere. Most likely, you know, in the majority, I'd say probably about 97% assured they're not going anywhere. They will win the day. And I can't wait to see how this plays out. If that is true to form, you know, for all I know, they could throw a wrench in the works and they could send Megumi packing after all, and Soma only just survives by the skin of his teeth, or vice versa. I'm not familiar with the source material, so I really don't know who's going to bow out, who's going to be sent packing, who's going to win the day, and if this story is going to get to the point where Soma accomplishes his goal of wiping the floor with all of these people with chips on their shoulders. Remains to be seen, and I'm just along for the journey. I can't wait to find out. And so I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of episode 11 of Shokugeki no Soma, if you've seen it, and whether you were like me, kind of a little peeved that, you know, they spent the entirety of the episode on Shinomiya's dish rather than giving us the other leg dropping and seeing how Megumi and Soma fared. Or did you think it was pitched well enough? If you are familiar with the source material, no spoilers please, but give me an idea of whether you think this is playing along, you know, with the story well enough, if it's adapted well enough, and if the pacing is true to form, to the, you know, source material. Otherwise, that'll be pretty much it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.